In some underpasses in Guangdong province, a group of young people has made their home. Their way of life and values have sparked intense public discussion. These young people survive by live streaming and asking for donations on platforms like Douyin. By sharing their daily lives online, they attract a large audience and receive virtual gifts as financial support. Because of their unique lifestyle, they've come to be known as underpass residents. They each have their own style, often dyeing their hair in bright colors and embracing a carefree attitude. It seems like they don't care about outside judgment or pressure. Many of them have unusual backgrounds, and their choice to live this way is often shaped by a combination of factors. Some struggle to find stable jobs after graduation, facing fierce competition in the job market. Economic pressure forced them to seek alternative ways to make a living. With the rise of the internet and live streaming platforms, they saw an opportunity to try something different. Others turned to this extreme lifestyle out of frustration with Chinese society, believing that traditional paths wouldn't allow them to achieve personal fulfillment. For them, living in an underpass became a norm of silent protest against the system. Some ended up homeless after experiencing personal hardships or family conflicts. For them, wandering the streets might have been an escape from reality.
我是李思，没错。
Hi everyone, I'm Li Si, the girl who once lived under the bridge. Today, I finally gathered the courage to turn on the camera and sit here. I feel like I owe myself an explanation, and also an explanation to those who cared about me. Every time I think about those days living under the bridge, I feel an overwhelming sense of sadness. I never imagined I would end up in such an environment, living under those conditions. Every day there was just pure torment. I spent every moment in fear. Li Si was a university graduate but struggled to find a satisfying job. Encouraged by her boyfriend, she invested 500,000 yuan in a business, only to lose everything to a scam. Left penniless, she blamed herself for making the wrong decision and doubted her own abilities. Overwhelmed by guilt and unable to face her family, she fell into a deep depression and gave up on herself. Eventually, she chose to withdraw from society and live in an underpass.
姑娘，你为什么一个人住在这个地方？
Miss, why are you living here alone? Are you going through some difficulties? Don't be afraid. We're here to help you.
Li
Si, after all these days of support and encouragement from everyone, don't you feel like things are getting a little better? If anything's on your mind, talk to Miss Li, okay? In the future, if you need anything, whether you want to stay at the company or in a hotel, you could let Miss Li know, all right? And if you'd like to work for Mr. Bo, just tell him.
After receiving continuous care and encouragement, Li Si gradually opened up and eventually accepted help. She started trying to return to a normal life. Her story resonated with many people online. One person commented, "I came from a good family, but when the pandemic hit, I went bankrupt and fell into 200,000 yuan of debt. I was lost and even spent some time living under a bridge." Another wrote, "I paused your video and just stared at the screen, lost in thought. Your story is so similar to mine. The only difference is that I have responsibilities. I can't just give up. I hope life treats us both better from now on." Another woman in Guangdong also chose to live under a bridge because she couldn't afford rent or hotel stays. With little money to her name, she decided to cut housing costs entirely, embracing a wandering lifestyle. She picked up odd jobs whenever possible to cover daily expenses. On days without work, she collected bottles and cans, making 10 yuan a day, just enough to buy food. In the city, people often avoided her, seeing her as dirty and lacking dignity. But she didn't care about their opinions. When asked why she didn't go home, she hesitated to answer. Perhaps, like many homeless people, she carried burdens she couldn't talk about. For many young people, the job market has become unbearably tough. Cai Yezi, a fresh graduate, struggled to find work for months. After Chinese New Year, she moved to a big city to job hunt. A month passed with no success, and she was on the verge of breaking down. On March 5th, she shared her frustration on Douyin. "Has anyone found a job? I've been searching for a month. I started off confident, but now I'm lost and discouraged. Companies in Guangzhou and Shenzhen offer salaries of 3,000 to 4,000 yuan without food and housing, but they also demand years of experience and a heavy workload. I'm willing to accept the pay and the work, but how am I supposed to gain years of experience if no one gives me a chance? I don't want to be lost anymore. I don't want to wander anymore. This job search is pushing me to the edge of depression. Can Guangzhou and Shenzhen just be a little bit more accepting? I want to stay here." Sometimes I wonder, was going to university even worth it? If I had started working in a factory at 16, maybe I'd have some savings now. I wouldn't have wasted my family's money on education. I wouldn't have spent years in school dreaming about a future that now feels impossible.
Where can we workers even go now? Hangzhou is saturated. Factories in Jiangsu are full. Shanghai isn't hiring. Wuhan's job market isn't looking good either. The 4 major coastal cities are no longer an option. So where do we go? The wind is strong outside. I just walked from another underpass where many people are sleeping under blankets they bought from home. Finding a job is tough, and the cost of living is high. Some came out with a few thousand yuan, hoping to find work, but in the end, they ran out of money and had nowhere to go. Some survive by picking up temporary gigs, working whenever they can, just to get by. Many still have car loans, mortgages, and family expenses, but jobs are becoming harder to find. This is the hardest year I've seen in many years working in labor services. After Chinese New Year, I came back and saw that many factories had stopped hiring. Everything is saturated. Why is this happening? Why?
These homeless young people highlight the harsh realities many in their generation are facing. One major factor is economic inequality. The wealth gap has widened in recent years, making it difficult for young people to find stable jobs and earn enough money to cover their basic living expenses. In big cities, high housing costs and rent make survival even harder. Faced with these pressures, some have turned to alternative ways to make a living, like live streaming for donations or taking on unstable daily jobs. Another issue is the lack of proper social safety net. In some areas, welfare support for low-income individuals and unemployed workers is inadequate, leaving them with no choice but to seek other means to survive. China's education system also plays a role. Schools focus heavily on theory while neglecting practical skills and creativity. Many graduates find themselves lacking real-world experience or career planning skills, making it even harder to secure a job. As the Chinese economy continues to decline, even hardworking people struggle to escape poverty. For some, living on the streets is the only way to cut costs.
This is an underpass in Guangzhou. It's not a tourist spot or an outdoor campsite. This place is home to food delivery drivers and migrant workers. They stay here because they don't have to pay rent, which helps them save a significant amount of money. It's not easy to make a living and support a family. There are also many unemployed and homeless people here.
According to online sources, many of these young people living in tents come from different regions and are unmarried with no family obligations. They live under bridges because it's more convenient for work. For example, food delivery workers often struggle with parking restrictions for electric scooters when renting apartments. Some places even charge extra fees, adding to their monthly expenses. On top of that, they have to pay for electricity, water, and internet, making rent even less affordable. To save money, some workers have started following the trend of influencers who live in underpasses. They buy tents to avoid rent costs, use battery-powered scooters with swappable batteries for electricity, and rely on public restrooms for washing up. For cooking, a small stove with a gas canister lasts about 2 weeks. When necessary, they eat instant noodles or fast food. Despite their struggles, the Chinese government has done little to help them. Instead of providing support, authorities often drive them away. A jobless university student who sleeps under a bridge shared his biggest fear.
I'm not afraid of people stealing from me. If I'm sleeping under a bridge, what valuables could I possibly have? And no, I'm not scared of organ traffickers. Who would dare? What really worries me is how long I can stay here before the police force me out. If they tell me to leave, I'll have no choice but to pack up and go.
China's homeless population is deliberately hidden from public view. Authorities see them as a stain on the image of the city, so they take measures to remove them from the crowded areas. For example, on March 2nd in Shenzhen, a man and his 2 children were sleeping on the streets. Instead of receiving help, they were forcibly removed by city management officers for damaging the city's image. Incidents like this are common. The Chinese government prioritizes maintaining a harmonious society over addressing real poverty issues. Rather than solving the problem, they simply push it out of sight. Recently, another video gained attention. In Zhongshan Park, Wenzhou, several disabled individuals were trying to make a living by performing on the streets. Instead of being allowed to work, they were violently removed by city enforcement officers. Furious netizens asked, "Since when is it a crime for disabled people to support themselves?" The They asked us to turn off the music, so we turned off the music. Listen, can you understand our situation? These are disabled brothers and sisters who have had a hard life. We're not disturbing anyone here at Zhongshan Park, right? And we haven't broken any laws, have we? How can you do this to us in good conscience? We've already said that we'd only be here for one night. We won't come back again, okay? Please understand, no one chooses to live on the streets like this. No one wants this life. Look at them. Some have lost their feet. Some are extremely short. And look at this man here. He can't even feed himself or clean himself. Yet he's still trying to survive on his own. If you don't let us perform, tell me, how else can we make a living? Instead of addressing the root causes of poverty, the Chinese government continues to forcibly remove those it considers the low-end population, making life even harder for those at the bottom. The deeper issue is that China's rapid urban development hasn't created equal opportunities for ordinary people. Instead, it has led to more competition and anxiety about survival. In a time when jobs are scarce and housing prices are skyrocketing, many young people see no other option but to wander from place to place. As night falls, homeless people can be seen not just in Guangdong, but in coastal cities across China.
Have you ever seen Nanjing's Xinjiekuo subway station at 3 a.m.? The passageways are empty, except for the many people sleeping here. I don't know if I should call them homeless. Right above them is Xinjiekuo, the busiest shopping district in Nanjing. During the day, it's packed with people. But from midnight to dawn, the ones sleeping here feel completely out of place in this so-called prosperous city.
Xinjiekuo Station, known as the largest subway station in Asia, sees 300,000 passengers every day. Commuters pass through its 24 exits in a constant rush, barely noticing the dark corners where makeshift beds are laid out. At night, the warmth of the subway station becomes a refuge for the homeless. Some collect scraps to earn a small income. Others survive by eating discarded food, but the government sees them as a problem to be erased. How many homeless people live in Xinjiekuo Station? On February 24th, a social worker who has patrolled the area for years told Tencent News. At around 2 a.m., the number of people sleeping here reaches its peak, usually around 50 or 60, but in the past there have been hundreds, even over 1,000. To the government, the homeless are an eyesore. Instead of using resources to improve their lives, money is spent to maintain a false image of prosperity. Stability maintenance budgets keep increasing. Surveillance cameras cover every corner. But meaningful aid for the poor is nowhere to be seen. Official statistics rarely mention the real scale of homelessness, and media coverage is strictly controlled to prevent the truth from undermining the image of the Chinese dream. The suffering of the poor is hidden beneath the towering skyscrapers. The homeless in subway stations are both witnesses to China's rapid development and the victims left behind. The government would rather let them shiver through the cold nights than acknowledge systemic poverty. The so-called prosperity that China promotes is nothing more than an illusion, incapable of masking the struggles of its most vulnerable citizens.